kind of a crazy night for special teams at Texas the other night. I guess starting off, can you kind of tell us what you've learned about kind of the breakdowns that led to the blocks on the extra point and the field goal?
Yeah, so I don't think it's any one individual's fault. Like when we go out there as a full unit, and that's been Coach Miles' emphasis. So learning from it, we'll attack it as a unit, especially like yesterday and today. We attacked it and practiced it, put an emphasis on the whole, kind of going back to the basics and making sure everything's cleaned up there. And then from an individual standpoint, just working on what I can do as my job on the field goal unit. So if that's getting my ball higher or whatever I need to do. But like in all honesty, my job is to kick it, and I shouldn't be focused on what's in front of me because I'm not focusing on the ball. So just making sure that I hit a clean hit and trust in my teammates.
Can you kind of tell us how the process works? Like, does it start in the film room and you guys kind of review, and then you go implement it on the practice field? And like, what's that been like the past few days? So
we were breaking it down on the film and kind of just taking it into practice, what we talked about in the film room. And like I said, just going back to the basics, walking through just the kind of initial movements and running through scenarios and stuff like that. But like I'm not too like involved in like what the linemen are doing. It's kind of like the specialist unit, like snap, hold, kick, like what we can do to have the most successful off time and all that. So
Coach Miles said yesterday if he were in your position, he would understand why you would be frustrated by the leakage. He called it kind of on Saturday. I guess what were you thinking as that all that was happening, the blocked extra point?
I think my job as a kicker is to flush that out. I trust every single guy on that line 100%, and I know that we'll all get it right and get it fixed, and I know that the guys know that the field goal unit is an important part of the game too. So I'm not worried about that.
And then the kickoff out of bounds, was that kind of a fluky thing on Saturday?
Yeah.
You think?
From a technical standpoint, obviously landmark is a really important part. So my goal as a kickoff guy is to put the ball in a position where the guys can cover it best and to contain the field the best. And I couldn't achieve the goal that night. And the best thing for me to do is to kind of flush that out. And I've already talked to Coach Miles and Coach Eck, and we ran through what was going on in my head and the steps I need to take to put the ball where it's supposed to go. I mean, that's the goal, is to drop the ball in the numbers in the back of the end zone. And I couldn't do it that night, but I'm just focused on putting the ball where it needs to go this weekend.
Watching the broadcast, it looked like there was a moment during the game where Coach Miles talked to you specifically after something. Do you remember what he said to you, or any kind of words of encouragement?
Yeah, anything he says to me in game is to trust my skill and know that I can put the ball where it's supposed to go, and that the guys trust me too. And that's always been huge since he's gotten here, is that it's been uplifting, knowing my role as the kicker, and myself knowing that the guys believe in me. So that's huge.
What's the pressure when you kick that? I think it was a 46-yarder, right, to get it within 7. So it's, if it's a 2-score game, you guys had to get a score. I mean, just what was that like, especially on that stage?
Biggest thing for me, my mindset going to that kick was that was my first kick of the game. I think that's important, that the kicks before don't define me. My next kick does. So I approach that kick as every other 46-yarder I hit at practice throughout the week, and trusting my skill and trusting myself, and knowing that if I do what I've always done in practice, that I'll get the outcome that I need and help the team win.
Sorry, Lynn, they do have dangerous returners. Texas does.
Okay.
So was the plan to directionally kick it? I mean, that's tough to do on a kickoff, but was that the plan going in, to maybe try to pin them in a certain spot?
The way kickoff works, from what I've learned, is that if you put the ball where it's supposed to go, which ideal is like the numbers, the safe area is the numbers, and the coverage guys go where they're supposed to go lane-wise, then the ball will be contained well. And I knew that guy was pretty dangerous, so I was obviously trying to get it out there, but I'm not focused on who's catching the ball. I'm focused on where I'm putting the ball. So
I'm just talking more about the game plan. The game plan was to put them on one side or the other, try to position in a certain spot on those kickoffs.
yeah.
Yeah. As Coach Miles, how much is he around special teams? He obviously likes it.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. He puts emphasis on special teams. It's the hidden third of the game, and he makes sure to know that the specialists know that we have a very important role on the team, and that it's important and it's crucial that we execute what we need to execute. And even like last weekend when I couldn't execute, he's uplifting and make sure that we know that the guys they believe in us.
Has he said anything particular this week after the struggles last week, just in general about special teams?
Nothing different than what he's always said, that we're capable and able of executing and doing what we need to do, and we're just getting closer and closer.
You guys are a little over halfway through the season now, 7 games. How would you assess, I mean, starting with your own play and then just the kicking game as a whole through 7 games?
I try not to evaluate my performance as like as a whole season, because that's a pretty unhealthy way for me, what I've learned throughout my kicking career. So I'm going into this game as it's first game of the season for me, like from a mindset standpoint, just because the whole principle that Coach Eck always brings to us specialists is that it's not our last kick but our next kick that defines us. So this is like the first game of the season for me, and making sure that I do this week, prepare this week what I need to do to help our team win.
Liam, you guys started off, you and Jacob were kind of seesawing there in a competition. Are you guys still competing?
Yeah, every kick's a competition, absolutely, every day. Makes you better.